Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gyanantirmidandasya Vinanjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Pitamaya Disvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagarajatam Sahaganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha Shakalpatrubhischa Kripasinubhayevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Thank you for joining us again. Those who are live or for recording this, whoever, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you. This kind Vaishnavi who asked me to give class today, I am grateful for the opportunity to do some seva. I pray to the feet of Sri Guru Gauranga and the Vaishnavas that I can be empowered to speak something that will give us some enlivenment, some food for thought, some appreciation for the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, for the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, and for giving our time, our energy, and pleasing Krishna through the process of bhakti, sadhana bhakti, in hopes that someday, or in hopes that eventually will come, but hopefully sooner than later, with we will cherish the sweet fruits of bhava and prema by their causeless mercy. Hare Krishna. Today, I'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 12. Ityokto dharmarajena sarvam tat samvarnayat yatanubhutam kramasho vinayadu urakshayam ityukto dharmarajena sarvam tat samvarnayat yatanubhutam kramaso vina yadu kurakshayam iti ukto dharmarajena sarvam tatvasamarnat tato tatanubhutam kramaso vina yadu kurakshayam. Devotees want to
Prabhu,
yeah, please.
इत्युक्तो धर्मराजेन सर्वं तत् समवर्णयत् यथानुभूतं क्रमशो विना यदुकुलक्षयम्.
Anybody
Hare
else?
Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Iti yukto dharmarajena sarvam tat samavarnayat yatanubhutam kramaso vinay yadukula kshayam. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
इति युक्तो धर्मराजेन सर्वं तत्समर्पणाय यदानुभूतं क्रमशो विना यदुकुलक्षयम्. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Iti yukto dharma rajena sarvam tat samavarnayat yathanubhautam kramaso vinayadu kulakshayam.
Anybody else? Iti, thus. Uktaha, being asked. Dharma Rajena, by King Yudhishthira. Sarvam, all. Tat, that. Samvartanyat, properly described. Yata anubhutam, as he experienced. Shaha, one after another. Vina, without. Yadu Kula Shayam, annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus being questioned by Maharaj Yudhisthira, Mahatma Vidura gradually described everything he had personally experienced, except news of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. And we see through we've heard through the last few verses how Vidura had come back to Hastinapur from his pilgrimage. It was during the Battle of Kurukshetra, just before the Battle of Kurukshetra. He was asked to. He was basically banished by Duryodhana because he spoke up against Duryodhana's rascalous behavior toward the Pandavas, just in general. Vidura is a great devotee, as we see here. I don't think Mahatma is not in the verse, I don't think. But Srila Prabhupada made it a point to point out Vidura being a Mahatma. He's a very great soul. And so great, in fact, that when Krishna would visit Hastinapur, he would go and have take prasad at his house. So we hear of this is kind of like a bit of a prelude to what will come later in Srimad Bhagavatam, because throughout the next, let's see, I think it's sort of the third and fourth canto, maybe even the second canto. We see that a conversation between our teachings given to Vidura by first by Uddhav and then by Maitreya Muni. Asks so many questions, and so many things are revealed. Let's see here. Questions by Vidura start in the third canto. Remembrance of Lord Krishna's different pastimes in Vrindavan, and then just all of these different topics are given by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. All of this history are given at some point. The end of the fourth canto, we have Vidura thus offers his obeisances unto the great sage Maitreya, verse 30. Taking permission, starts for the city of Hastinapura to see his own kinsman, although he has no material desires. So many things happen during this time, something to look forward to, so much nice transcendental knowledge that is passed by Uddhav and Maitreya Muni to Vidura that we get to hear through these different cantos. So this verse today is making one point that he didn't speak of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. So in this part of the history is spoken later on in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in this verse here. We hear that or before this verse, the pastime of Lord Krishna leaving and the Yadus going along with, and for Yudhishthira and the Pandavas would be very disturbed by hearing of the Yadus' departure, especially Lord Krishna's. So he refrained from speaking like this, and this verse here talks of something interesting. The end of the pastimes, the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, after the disappearance of the members of the Vishnus and Bhoga dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhav alone remain? Srila Prabhupada talks about in this purport. So of all of the Vishnus and the Yadus, when Krishna wrapped up his pastimes, he had Uddhav stay. Of all of his family members, he's the only one that remained. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking why that happened. And in this particular part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he talks about how here Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur alludes the meaning of akritam as pastimes. Means complete, and kritam means transcendental pastimes. Since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there's no question of his changing or quitting his body. So just like we're in an opposite position where our spiritual spirit soul and our body are two separate things. The body is, the soul is wandering throughout the different bodies of this material existence. But Krishna in his body is non-different. So when a sadhak attains his spiritual body through his perfection of prema bhakti, and returns to this, goes to the spiritual world, where he no longer has to endure the threefold miseries of the repeated birth and death. He's the living entity. The spirit soul attains a spiritual body. That spiritual body is also non-different than the entity. So the body, the transcendental body of the Lord, is non-different than the Lord himself. So there's no question of him changing or quitting his body to act in accordance with the rules and custom of the material world. The Lord seems to take his birth and leave this body, but the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery, but to the students who are in the line of disciplinic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. So I thought we'd explore this one of the purports leading to these verses of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. There's another point is sometimes devotees say that all we need is that we don't need to read the commentaries of the other acharyas in our line. Srila Prabhupada here points out that any serious student who wants to understand these things should read these commentaries by great Vaishnava acharyas. Srila Prabhupada is broad-minded and exalted acharya in our line. He's not a fanatical how do you say, like he's not interested in his own propaganda, his own aggrandizement of read only what I've written, don't need to go anywhere else. This is not the mood of the empowered acharyas like Srila Prabhupada. He gives all credit to his predecessor acharyas, though he is a great empowered devotee. Something we can learn. Hopefully this will load without too much problem. Sorry. Try to load these things beforehand and then they don't stay loaded. And because it's a big file, it takes a little while to open. So this is a purport to the next verse that we read, 3, 4, and 29. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out that he asks why did Uddhava remain alone, right? Why did he remain alone? So he's saying here, come on, saying here that this is the answer. This is not functioning properly. Thank you. Sorry. So he says the contrivance of the Brahmana's curse was only a pretext for causing the disappearance of the Yadus from the material world. So if you remember in the Mahabharata, it's spoken, it might also be in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I can't remember, but some of the young boys, some of the young boys were being silly, and they, as children do, they like to tease and make jokes in fun of things. So so he one of the boys, I can't remember who it was, I think it was one of Krishna's sons. He when Narada and some other great sages had come, he had dressed up like a lady and put like an iron ball in his belly and in his shirt, and was like, "Oh, great sage, what what will I be having, a boy or girl?" Basically, he said something like, "You will bear the destruction of your dynasty," or something like this. So, from what I understand, so this iron, this is how the Yadus, how Krishna arranged for the Yadus to leave their manifest pastimes. So, from what I understand, this sentence is what he's talking about. So the Lord, whose desire cannot be made unless by time thought of withdrawing his clan by that means. He thought of giving up a body which was spread beyond its limits. Though his eternity, knowledge, and bliss is confined to his Swarup, it was not overextended. It was now overextended in the sense of being visible to the eyes of the people of the world. There's a following rule. This is a technical Sanskrit rule. It sounds like statements of I'm not going to read the Sanskrit because I'll just butcher it. Statements of affirmation and denial change the meaning of their particular descriptive elements if there is a contradiction of the principal subject. The word jaksan should follow this rule, acting as a descriptive, not as the main subject. So the notes he's saying here is, if the meaning of Chakshyan Deham contradicts the main subject Krishna, who has an eternal body, the statement must have another meaning. So he continues, for example, one can say Chaitra was a king. Giving up the body, he burned it. The body refers to that of his wife, who has died, since it is impossible that he died and burned his own body. In the present verse, Jakshan Deham cannot mean that the Lord gave up his body and died, since his body is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Thus, Mahabharata Purana says, in translation, all the forms of the Lord are eternal, appearing constantly within the mature world with bodies of Paramatma, without any destructible elements made of Prakriti. This is confirmed in Madhva's commentary, in which he quotes the Shruti. This Vasudeva Sankarsana verse translation: I am Vasudev, Sankarshan, Padumna, Aniruddha, Hamsa, Matsya, Korma, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vamana, Ram, Parashuram, Balaram, Krishna, Buddha, and Kaliki. I have hundreds and thousands of forms in this world. I am infinite. These forms are not born, nor do they die. They are not conditioned, nor do they become liberated. All of them are complete, ageless, and deathless, full of the highest bliss. Govinda is an eternal form of knowledge and bliss, seated under a desire tree in Vrindavan. In the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, the form of man lion is truly the eternal supreme Brahman. Nrsimha Tapani Upanishad states, since Krishna has disappeared like the sun, how can I describe the condition of us, his friends, devoid of splendor, whose houses have been swallowed by the snake of lamentation? Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.7. Lord, having shown his form, the center of attraction of all eyes, then took that form and disappeared from the men who had not performed austerities but had attained the Lord's mercy, were continually craving a vision of his form. And Lord Shri Krishna lives eternally among the cowherd men and the Yadus, and is conclusively both the son of Devaki and Yashoda. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty and the cowherd men, and with his mighty arms he killed everything inauspicious in Vraj, Mathura, and Dwarka. By his presence he destroys all things inauspicious for all living entities moving and inert, and the suffering of separation of the inhabitants of Braj and Dwarka. His blissful, smiling face always increases the desires of the gopis of Vrindavan and women of Mathura and Dwarka. He remains eternally in this situation. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.48. There are many statements in the Shrutis, Shruti and Smriti, showing that the Lord has an eternal form. Thus, if we take this verse to mean that Krishna gave up his body, it does not recognize a contradiction to previous and later statements. Persons who take such meanings have a demoniac mentality and are cheated of the nectar of prema bhakti. If the reading is nunam instead of kritam, it certainly means new, lesser, and modifies body. This refers to a Hamsa of Krishna, Narayan. When Krishna appeared, Narayan appeared from Vaikuntha and entered into Krishna's form. Now to have Narayan again return to Vaikuntha, he separated Narayan from his body. According to the Sandarbha, the phrase means giving the body of the earth to the devatas like Brahma for protecting. So this next verse, when I leave this planet, Uddhav, the best among those who take me as their master will be qualified to impart knowledge unto me. So what he's saying here is that the reason he left Uddhav was so that he can impart instructions unto the people, could impart instructions being empowered by Lord Krishna. So one of the people that Uddhava remained to give instructions to is Vidura. So Vidura, left Hastinapurna and wandered around and got instructions by Uddhav, who also instructed him to, and amongst those instructions, he told him to learn from Maitreya Muni. So Maitreya speaks on all of these subjects that are listed in these in the various cantos to come, and he and at the end of and after hearing such transcendental subjects, he comes back to Hastinapur to give his mercy to Dhritarashtra, who is ultimately is the subject of the verse where the chapter in which we're reading today, chapter 13. If I remember correctly, the disappearance of Dhritarashtra quits home. All right, so Srila Prabhupada is speaking, is pointing out that Vidura is a Mahatma. So in order to understand transcendental knowledge, one must approach a Mahatma. And I wanted to read a couple of verses on the glorifications of a Mahatma. Lord Chaitanya is speaking in these verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the importance of association with saintly persons. By associating with a devotee, one awakens his faith in devotional service to Krishna. Because of devotional service, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, and thus one's material conditioned existence comes to an end. Somehow or other, this is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, as we see in Srila Prabhupada's purport in the 11th canto. Somehow or other, if one is attracted to talks about me and has faith in the instructions I have set forth in the Bhagavad Gita, and if one is either falsely detached from material things, nor very much attracted to material existence, his dormant love for me will be awakened by devotional service. If one is neither falsely detached from material things, nor very much attracted to material things. So there's a special consideration here that one should not be falsely detached. The words that Lord Chaitanya used to describe this is Markaita Vairagya, a monkey renunciate. And a monkey lives in a forest and eats only fruits from the trees and things, and gathers things from the forest, but will also have so much sense gratification with female monkeys, male monkeys, depending on which side of the spectrum you're looking at. So a great emphasis by Lord Krishna here, and by our acharyas, to not give up attachments, to be falsely detached from the things of this world, but to allow the process of devotional service to attract our hearts and our minds to the loving service of the Lord, and thus through regulated sense enjoyment, essentially. Because Srila Prabhupada pointed out many times to us in classes, especially in classes, that we can't give up sense gratification. Can anyone give up sleeping? It's not a very easy thing. Can you give up eating? Not a very easy thing. Great devotees, yeah, you can say great devotees gave up eating and sleeping, but they're great devotees. As a conditioned soul, we have to begin somewhere, and it's through the regulations set forth in the instructions that Krishna gave in Bhagavad Gita. And as we hear the pastimes of Krishna throughout Srimad Bhagavatam and how his great devotees acted, and we gain some appreciation, we gain some taste for hearing about Krishna. And when we hear and chant and remember, then our hearts naturally become detached to detached from material enjoyment. So if one is too much focused on vairagya, or too much focused on renunciation, Srila Rupa Goswami explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that it hardens the heart. That the heart actually becomes hard by too much vairagya, or renunciation. For a bhakta, and this is why it's explained that with the heart being soft, one's not too much attached or not too much detached. There's a balance. There's a proper balance. And that keeps the heart soft, because we want a soft heart. We want to be able to relish Krishna's sweetness. When we were reading Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's purport, and just a few minutes ago, he was talking about Krishna's smiling face. I read this one. Someone sent me this one thing earlier. I'll read it to you because it's very sweet. In Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28-31, the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, as long as one is in conditioned life in the material body, it is natural that he will suffer from anxieties and agonies. One cannot avoid the influence of material energy, even when one is on the transcendental plane. Sometimes disturbances come, but the agonies and anxieties of the devotee are at once mitigated when they think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his beautiful form, or his smiling face of the Lord, or the smiling face of the Lord. The Lord bestows innumerable flavors upon his devotee, and the greatest manifestation of his grace is his smiling face, which is full of compassion for his pure devotees. This takes some transcendental realization. Sometimes devotees, we think that, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're, engaging in the service of the Lord. That means that we won't suffer anymore. But Srila Prabhupada's pointing out here, the nature of having a material body means there'll be some suffering. There was one devotee some time ago. I remember them telling the story. I don't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Prabhupada Maharaj when he was here. He was talking about how Srila Prabhupada had a toothache, and he put some clove on it, right? Sucked on cloves to numb it, because there was some pain. But the difference between a siddha, a pure devotee, and someone practicing, or even a materialist, someone who's still attached to their body. So let's say that when the body creates some pain, it's you become absorbed in that. But for the pure devotees, they remember Krishna, and they give up. They don't pay attention to it. It's like a insignificant byproduct of having a material body. It's not that they don't suffer, but because they're seeing the smiling face of Krishna in their hearts, the agonies and anxieties are mitigated. There's a so this is the point that Krishna is making here. If one is neither falsely detached from material things or too much attracted to material things. You can see Srila Prabhupada in his life, he was only sleeping a few hours and translating always. He was eating nice prasad, but he wasn't attached to these things, right? So you can see he was sleeping with what he needed to, and he was eating what he needed to. So to maintain the body. So I was reading just recently, Srila Prabhupada was talking about that, or I think it was a snippet, some like YouTube video or something, snippet of Srila Prabhupada saying that in the material world, I'm paraphrasing, in the material world, um, the tendency is to live to eat, but we shouldn't live to eat. We should eat to live. We should eat what we need to sustain the body. But in conditioned life, we have a tendency of living to eat, and there's a subtle difference there. So through the association of great devotees, we can learn how to do these things. Let's continue. Unless one is favored by a pure devotee, one cannot attain the platform of devotional service. To say nothing of Krishna Bhakti, one cannot even be relieved from the bondage of material existence. O King Rahugana, without taking upon one's head the dust from the feet of a pure devotee, one cannot attain devotional service. Devotional service is not possible to attain simply by undergoing severe austerities and penances, by gorgeously worshipping the deity, or by strictly following the rules and regulations of the sannyas or grahasa order. Nor is it attained by studying the Vedas, submerging oneself in water, exposing oneself to fire or scorching heat. It is only attained by by taking the dust of the feet of a pure devotee on one's head. Bhakti comes from bhakti. So from a bhakta, a pure bhakta, bhakti manifests in the heart of a devotee. Madhurya Kandavanini talks about this extensively in the first section. Unless human society accepts the dust of the feet of great Mahatmas, devotees who have nothing to do with material possessions, mankind cannot turn its attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. Those lotus feet vanquish all the unwanted and miserable conditions of material life. The verdict of all scriptures is that by even a moment's association of a pure devotee, one can attain all success. This is a very famous verse quoted. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhava Shastrakai, Lava Matra Sadhu Sanghe, Sadhava Siddhihai. The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot be compared even to the attainment of the heavenly planets or liberation from matter, or to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. That concludes the talks on Sadhu Sangha. So it is our greatest our greatest, the greatest benediction to have the association of pure devotees. We have pure devotees association through the works of the acharyas and through the association of living devotees, which is, they're both important. Without seeing the behavior of living pure devotees, it's difficult to and to have them correct us. It is difficult to make progress. So when our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas and the Shastra instruct us to go to holy places, we just recently had this verse that devotees like Vidura are holy places personified because their feet, because their feet sanctify holy places, something like that. So wherever the pure devotees are is a holy place of pilgrimage. And when we go to holy places of pilgrimage like Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, these places where Lord Chaitanya and all of his devotees performed pastimes, where Lord Krishna performed their pastimes. These places, if we just go there, take bath in the holy river, see the sights, there's some purification there. But when we associate with the sadhus there, then our heart really becomes affected, and bhakti begins to awaken. So, in conclusion, I thought there'd be a little bit more time, but we're running out of time. I wanted to just briefly speak of one great Vaishnavi who has impacted my life very wonderfully, and I miss their association very much. They left this planet, left our association. She left this world like on this Ekadasi day. I think it was in 2011, just a little over 10 years ago. We all hear her transcendental voice every day. Those who are at the temple every day, anyway, singing the Govindam prayers for the awakening, the greeting of the deities when the curtains open at 7:30 in every temple, every ISKCON temple. Jamuna Devi is singing Govindam Adipusham Tamham Pachami, and she was a great servant of Srila Prabhupada, sacrificed her life in so many ways to please Srila Prabhupada. Some of the wonderful qualities I learned from her was absorption in the holy name, faith in the holy name, the principle of cleanliness and its importance in our lives. She gave me first instructions on Manasi Puja for the deity, and just reminding us of the urgency that Srila Prabhupada had for taking this process seriously. Don't delay. Don't delay. The time is now. So she would often emphasize to us the urgency of engaging in the process, not artificially, but allowing the process to unfold naturally through our sincere sadhana in surrender. She was a great devotee who inspired many devotees through her cooking, through her chanting, through her personal example. We learned so much, and miss her association. Anytime I got the opportunity to be in her company, was like it sustains my service, my desire to do service, to surrender. To this day, I am very grateful to have had her association. There's a few minutes left. Devotees have any questions, comments? Please share, unmute, and share anything you'd like to share, or ask any questions, any corrections, any of these things. Please, now is the time. Thank you for coming, for tolerating me, and encouraging me. You're all nice sadhus, and I pray that I may get the opportunity to serve you more and more.
Hi, Prabhu, Vinatram. Thanks so much for the
Krishna.
beautiful class, Prabhu. It was very nice. One thing which when you mentioned about being in the material world, we encounter problems, basically material problems, even by doing bhakti. I just remember a verse from Bhakti, not a verse, but the commentary by Shajiv Goswami. He mentions that one who does bhakti, one who performs bhakti, even they encounter material problems, but their problems are either the result of Bhagwan giving the problems, or is the effect of bhakti itself. Right? So bhakti itself gives happiness and distress. So externally it may look the same, but the cause is different. That's one thing which I remember to I'd like to share.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful class.
Very
Very.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Dhanavad Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much for Prabhuji. I really like the way you take it from Yudhishthira Maharaj with then Maitreyi, and then Uttava's inquiry, and then substantiating with the Srimad Bhagavatam references for Krishna, how he left the material world, and Bhagavan is not born or died, and he is eternal. And I really like the Srimad Bhagavatam references, Prabhuji, and how the association of the pure devotees, how critical even to invoke the bhakti, or to have our bhakti in our heart, and devotional service you mentioned. It was very beautifully you took us through the. I like the way you navigated Prabhuji entire topic. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful lecture this morning. I have one question. So from the time scale standpoint, how many years after the Mahabharata war did this event of Vidura coming to Maharaj Yudhishthira happen?
I'm not sure the time frame. It wasn't too much time because Dhritarashtra was still there, and it appears from how we're progressing through Srimad Bhagavatam, these verses, that it wasn't a whole lot of time, but the exact amount of time, I don't know. I don't know if it's spoken about in the Mahabharata. I don't know Mahabharata very well. If there's anybody else who knows a specific time frame, can share that info. I've not specifically heard that.
Okay, the reason behind my question was twofold. One is, I believe after the Mahabharata war, Kurukshetra war, Krishna stayed in Hastana for a long time, I believe 6 to 8 months or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after some time, I believe Arjuna traveled to Dwaraka to see how Krishna is doing or whatever. So, and then Vidura mentions to Dhritarashtra that you became such an old man and things like that. I believe when the Kurukshetra war was happening, Dhritarashtra was in a good spirits, like he was physically good or whatever, and I believe he was trying to hug after the Kurukshetra war. He was trying to hug Bhima and then essentially kill him with his hugging. That means he was very strong. So when Vidura mentioned that you became such an old man, so I would think that good amount of time must have passed, right? So that's why I was just trying to. It's a trivial question. I was just trying to understand the time scale kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. These different these different things, as you said, happened. So I'm not sure. I've never ventured into that detail. Is there anything else from anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It is very, very, very important because the material body is body needs Krishna devotion. Otherwise, that body also cannot live properly. You narrated very well about devotees. That is very good. I am very here to this morning. It is very good. Happy anyway. Again, I am grateful to you. Thank you, Krishna. Great.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat pranams. Thanks for nicely setting up the context. I was able to follow the class and nicely concluding the importance around associating with the pure devotee and associating with Srila Prabhupada's works. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna. I'm glad you were able to follow. Srila Prabhupada also points out the importance of, as we saw in that purport, the importance of studying the works of the previous acharyas as well. So take advantage of the translations, either Hindi, English, or Bangla, whatever you speak, of our great acharyas' works. Be absorbed as much as you can. The more we're absorbed in the name, form, qualities, pastimes of Krishna, the more our hearts will feel satisfaction. So I will try to do as well. It's the great need of the hour to remember Krishna always remember Krishna, never forget him. So whichever way we can do that, and following parampara is most wonderful. If there's no further questions or comments to point out, please accept my pranams and we will conclude.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad pranam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Nante
Krishna.
Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.